Hello everyone, I hope you had a good holidays. In this video we're going to take a look at how we've made a new trunk floor, and because I had a little bit of a difficulty with the memory card on the camera, I lost some of the data, so this video will be in a little bit of a different format, but let's just jump right into it and we're going to explain everything as we go. Okay, so this is the view that I had when I first opened the trunk. As you can see, it was filled with junk. Then we took it out and a true state of the floor was revealed. It wasn't too bad. At first it just looked like we have a bunch of surface rust, but after a close inspection we discovered we have a lot of holes and that this will call for a bit of a major bodywork because we're going to redo the trunk floor. We started off by cutting the crossbeam off using an angle grinder and a cheap plasma cutter from Lidl, which done its job sufficiently. This enabled us to cut the trunk floor where previously crossbeam was installed. Then we were making another crossbeam from a steel profile using the plasma cutter, and this restored our structural rigidity of the car. Plasma cutter showed itself useful because we were able to make straight cuts using a ruler, and it's also fast and you don't have to spend so much on grinding discs. Here you can enjoy the fireworks of the plasma cutter. It did also good with the protection that was underneath, so there was no issue for the cheap tool to get the job done. Okay, so this is the big hole that you've been seeing in the last videos. It looks a little bit terrifying, but it was very useful actually, because I was able to stand in the hole, and when I was grinding and doing repairs, all the junk fell out and I didn't have to bend over the rear wall to get into it, which was nice on our lower backs. Then we made a spare wheel compartment. And then we started to look at how we're going to do the shapes of the trunk floor. As you can see, it was pretty crunchy, and then I started to kind of mimic the shapes to make paper templates that was then used to make new shapes for the trunk floor. I gave my friend Sebastian a pretty nice sheet metal that he was able to work on. He was testing a couple of beading options and started bead rolling the shapes in. Now he's a guy with tremendous amount of experience and he has all the tools to make this job done, and he was actually going at it pretty hard. He was able to put in the rough shapes into the trunk floor, which already looked very nice. Of course it needed some finer work at the end, but it was coming along very nicely. Now mind you that two of these shapes are very critical because trunk floor is the mounting point of our gas tanks and the gas tank fits into these shapes. This is the way it looked after he's done the bead rolling. It looked very nice, and then we just needed to do some finer work like straightening it out and putting some holes in it. Here you can see a homemade DIY machine that we made from a couple of old profiles and sockets. This will enable us to put some blind holes into the trunk floor because I didn't want to put actual holes into it because that's a potential spot for rust. You can see it in action right here. You just put and clamp the fresh sheet metal between it and then use hammer to press in the new shape. This enabled us to mimic the original shape without actually putting the holes in, so we don't have to use plugs either, and water or moisture will not be caught in these spots. Of course on original cars it had to be done, but we don't need it anymore, and this floor pan is starting to look very nice indeed. After that we started to straighten it out a little bit. Bending the edges with the bending machine helped because it warped the metal into the edge, and this helped to straighten big piece out. Then it was just final work with the hammer. Our wire brushed all the bits because the fresh metal was standing for a couple of weeks, so some flash rust came through, and after this brushing I cleaned it off and applied primer color. Now it was ready to be installed. This is it for this video. See you next time. Stay healthy and take care. Bye.